We spend millions importing powders sold as miracle nutrition: Acai, spirulina, matcha. But one of the most nutrient-dense plants is not exotic or rare. It grows outside your door, in sidewalks and lawns, and most people kill it on sight. Dandelion, a superfood disguised as a weed, packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber that rivals powders sold for absurd prices. It is free, resilient, everywhere, and forgotten only because we were taught not to see it. So why did we learn to kill it instead of eat it? We live in an age of imported nutrition. Goji berries flown across oceans, Chlorella cultivated in industrial bioreactors, Kale rebranded from garnish to miracle. Billions are spent each year convincing people that health must be purchased, that vitality comes in vacuum-sealed packages with exotic names. But beneath this spectacle, something strange is happening. A plant that appears on nearly every lawn in the temperate world is being chemically erased. Homeowners spend over $30 billion annually on lawn care in the United States alone. A significant portion of that goes toward killing a single species. It is pulled, poisoned, and mowed into oblivion. And yet, gram for gram, this plant matches or exceeds the nutritional profile of high-priced greens. It contains more beta-carotene than carrots. It contains more calcium than spinach. It contains more iron than most leafy vegetables sold in stores. It has been eaten by humans for thousands of years across multiple continents. So why are we taught to destroy it? Why does it appear in weed killer advertisements instead of cookbooks? Why is it absent from grocery shelves while high-priced powders line the supplement aisle? The answer is not about nutrition. It is about what can be controlled. Scientifically called Taraxacum officinale, dandelion gets its name from the French dent de lion, or tooth of the lion, inspired by the serrated shape of its leaves. It grows across Europe, Asia, and North America. It thrives in Siberia and survives in subtropical zones. It appears in mountain meadows and city sidewalks alike. But dandelion was not a weed that wandered into human spaces by accident. It was carried. Archaeological evidence shows dandelion seeds in prehistoric settlements throughout Europe. When colonists crossed the Atlantic, they brought dandelion with them deliberately. It appeared in early American gardens not as an invader, but as a valued food and medicinal plant. For centuries, dandelion was planted near homes on purpose. It was cultivated in kitchen gardens across England, France, and Germany. It appeared in seed catalogs through the 1800s. Families harvested it the way they harvested lettuce or spinach. It was ordinary. It was expected. It was essential. The shift happened slowly. As cities expanded and lawns became symbols of order, the dandelion lost its welcome. A plant that once meant nourishment became a mark of neglect. But the most surprising part isn't where it grew. It's how completely it fed people. What made dandelion valuable was not a single compound or a single use. It was the whole plant. Every part served a purpose. Nothing was discarded. The leaves were harvested young in early spring when they were tender and mild. As the season progressed, they grew more bitter, which was not a flaw but a feature. Bitter greens were prized for stimulating appetite and aiding digestion. They were eaten fresh in salads or cooked down like spinach. The flowers appeared next. They were collected to make wines, syrups, and infusions. Dandelion wine was a staple in rural England and colonial America. The bright yellow petals carried subtle sweetness and were often preserved for the cold winter months. The roots were dug in autumn after the plant stored energy underground. They were roasted and ground into a coffee substitute that spread across Europe during times of scarcity. They were also used in traditional remedies for liver and kidney support, practices documented in herbals dating back centuries. One plant, 3 harvests. A full cycle of nourishment from a single species that required no cultivation. This was not primitive. This was efficient. And it worked without seed purchases, fertilizers, or irrigation systems. The nutritional profile of dandelion is not folklore. It has been measured, tested, and published. 100 grams of raw dandelion greens contain approximately 10,161 international units of vitamin A. That is more than double the amount found in carrots. It provides 187 milligrams of calcium, exceeding spinach. It delivers 3.1 milligrams of iron, higher than most commercial salad greens. Potassium reaches 397 milligrams per serving. Vitamin K levels are exceptionally high, essential for blood clotting and bone metabolism. The leaves also contain bitter compounds called sesquiterpene lactonase. These stimulate bile production and support digestive function. This is not speculation. It is documented in pharmacological studies. The root adds another dimension. It contains inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Inulin does not spike blood sugar. It passes through the stomach intact and ferments in the colon, supporting the microbiome in ways modern probiotics attempt to replicate. This was everyday food. Families did not consider it medicine. They considered it dinner. The nutrients now sold in capsules were once gathered from the yard for free. And yet, despite nutrition like this, dandelion rarely makes it to a plate. Maybe because no one needed to plant it at all. Dandelion did not need agriculture. It needed only opportunity. The plant evolved to colonize disturbed ground. Its deep taproot, sometimes reaching 10 feet into the earth, draws minerals from soil layers most crops cannot access. It breaks through compacted earth, creating channels for water and air. It tolerates drought, frost, and poor nutrition. It thrives in clay, sand, gravel, and roadside margins. Unlike cultivated crops, dandelion does not wait for ideal conditions. It germinates in early spring when soil temperatures barely rise above freezing. It flowers before most plants wake from dormancy. Its seeds, carried on parachutes of fine filaments, travel miles on the wind and establish without assistance. This is why dandelion followed human settlement. Wherever people cleared land, built roads, or disturbed soil, dandelion arrived. Not as an invader, as an opportunist filling a niche that human activity created. For most of history, this was seen as providence. A plant that appeared without effort and offered food, medicine, and utility was considered a gift. Farmers welcomed it along field edges and in orchards where it attracted pollinators and improved soil. Only recently did we begin calling it an enemy, and we forgot what it offered. Industrial food systems are built for control. Dandelion resists control at every stage. The leaves grow irregularly. A patch might offer tender greens one week and tough bitter leaves the next. Harvesting requires judgment, not machinery. The window for ideal flavor is narrow and deeply unpredictable. The flowers open and close based on light and temperature. They cannot be scheduled for harvest. They wilt within hours of picking. No cold chain preserves them long enough for wide distribution. The roots vary in size, shape, and depth depending on soil conditions. Mechanical harvesters designed for uniform crops cannot extract them efficiently. Hand digging remains the only reliable method, and hand labor does not scale. Then there is storage. Dandelion greens wilt faster than lettuce. They cannot sit in warehouses or travel in refrigerated trucks for days. By the time they reach a supermarket shelf, they have already declined. Compare this to spinach bread for uniformity, kale selected for shelf stability, or imported powders with months of viable shelf life. Industrial systems favor predictability. They favor products that survive transport, resist spoilage, and generate profit margins wide enough to justify infrastructure. Dandelion offers none of that. It offers only nutrition. So how did a food plant become something we work so hard to eliminate? The American lawn is not an ancient tradition. It is an invention, barely 2 centuries old. In the 1700s, European aristocrats displayed their wealth through expansive grass fields maintained by servants with scythes. These lawns signaled land ownership, leisure, and labor surplus. When mechanical lawnmowers became available in the 1850s, middle-class families could suddenly replicate the aesthetic without servants. By the 1950s, suburbs spread across America carrying the lawn as their central emblem. Uniform grass became a civic duty. Homeowner associations formed with rules requiring consistent turf. A well-kept lawn signaled responsibility, conformity, and social standing. A lawn with dandelions signaled failure. The herbicide industry rose to meet the demand. Products specifically designed to kill broadleaf plants while sparing grass flooded the market. Television commercials showed families ashamed of yellow flowers dotting their property. The dandelion transformed from food source to moral failing. What changed was not the plant. What changed was the culture surrounding land. Open space once meant food production. It came to mean ornamental display. The plants that fed families for generations were reclassified as eyesores, problems to be solved with chemicals, and almost no one questioned it. The nutrients dandelion provides did not disappear from the marketplace. They were simply repackaged. Vitamin A became beta-carotene capsules. Digestive bitters became supplement tablets. Prebiotic fiber became inulin powder sold in plastic containers. The same compounds once gathered from the lawn for free were isolated, processed, and priced. The global dietary supplement industry now exceeds $170 billion annually. A significant portion of that market sells exactly what dandelion delivers naturally. Liver support formulas, gut health blends, vitamin complexes promising what whole foods once provided, but supplements require manufacturing, marketing, and distribution. They generate profit. A plant that grows in the cracks of a parking lot generates nothing. It cannot be trademarked. It cannot be branded. It cannot sustain an industry. And so the living plant was erased from awareness, while its isolated parts were sold back to the same people who spray their lawns. This is not conspiracy. It is simply how markets function. Resources that cannot be controlled are replaced by resources that can. Foods that feed without transaction are replaced by products that require payment. Dandelion still grows. It still offers everything it always offered. But no one profits from telling you that. Until recently, when the world began to change again. Something is shifting, not in laboratories or corporate boardrooms, in backyards and vacant lots, in communities that can no longer afford to ignore what grows for free. Food prices have risen sharply across the industrialized world. Fresh produce costs more than it did a decade ago. Families are stretching budgets further, and quietly, some are looking at their lawns differently. Foraging has returned, not as a novelty, but as everyday practice. Social media accounts document wild food harvests. Books on edible weeds sell in numbers not seen in generations. Farmers markets now offer dandelion greens alongside cultivated lettuces. Urban gardens are replacing grass. Municipalities in drought-prone regions offer rebates for lawn removal. Where uniform turf once signaled status, biodiversity is becoming the new marker of care. The dandelion fits this shift perfectly. It requires no planting, no watering, no maintenance. It arrives on its own and offers itself freely. For people exhausted by rising costs and complex supply chains, that simplicity carries weight. This is not a trend driven by marketing. No corporation benefits from its spread. It is a quiet recognition that abundance was never absent. It was simply overlooked. And now, slowly, people are starting to look down. Dandelion did not vanish because it failed. It vanished because it succeeded too completely in ways that could not be monetized. A plant that feeds without farming. A medicine that heals without manufacturing. A resource that regenerates without investment. For thousands of years, these were virtues. In a system built on scarcity and transaction, they became flaws. But the plant never changed. It still grows where it always grew. It still offers what it always offered. Leaves rich in vitamins, roots filled with prebiotic fiber, flowers bright with quiet abundance. The knowledge of how to use it was never truly lost. It was only buried beneath decades of marketing, beneath lawns sprayed into sterile green, beneath the assumption that health must be purchased. Every spring, dandelions push through sidewalks and parking lots and untreated yards. They do not wait for permission. They do not require cultivation. They simply appear, as they have for centuries, offering food to anyone willing to see it. The crop we were taught to destroy may be the easiest source of nutrition growing anywhere on Earth. It was never hiding. We were just taught not to look. Some lessons grow back every single year.